Hi, what is love, really? Reclaiming love as a verb, a worldview that makes us more human. Love is a choice, not a feeling. There are very few people you truly love. Sure, we might wish happiness for everyone, but love isn't sentiment, it's sacrifice. What are you willing to do for someone else's well being? What are you willing to give up? Years ago, I had a close friend who was battling a serious personal challenge. I really loved this person, and I still do. At the time, I realized that the only way I could really help him was to go live with him for at least 6 months, to be there for him day in and day out. And I wasn't willing to do it. I told my mentor, coach, and therapist I felt guilty about that. I said it would mean quitting my job, leaving my family, turning my life upside down. And he then asked me, well, for whom would you be willing to do that? I thought about it. Honestly, my wife, my kids, that's probably it. He paused. Aren't you forgetting someone? Nope, I said. His response, how about yourself? Touche. From that on, my list included 6. And that conversation has stuck with me. Because love, real love, costs something. It's not just a feeling. It's a practice, a stretch, a choice. I've come to believe that love is the work, maybe the only real work, of being human. So let's explore what love is, what it isn't, and why it matters more than ever. Love as strategy, not sentiment. Personally, I've been blessed beyond comprehension with a life partner, 4 incredible children, and 11 grandchildren who remind me daily what love truly is. I was also lucky to have parents who loved me, as well as many friends who have been invaluable supporting characters along the journey of my life. I've spoken before, especially recently in the context of capitalism, about Robert Greenleaf's idea that if we want our institutions, including capitalism, to serve us well, we must learn to love them. He put it this way, quote, if a better society is to be built, one more just and more loving, one more providing opportunity for all, then the most open course is to raise both the capacity to serve and the capacity to be served. Institutions will be as healthy as we are willing to serve them and as responsive as we are willing to love them. End of quote. It's a simple but a powerful idea. What we love, we care for, and what we care for, we strengthen. And that is as true for society as it is for each other. Love at its core is about relationship. So are democracy and citizenship. If we lose our capacity for love, we lose our capacity to live well together. If you've been reading my work for a while, you know I write and engage with this community for one primary reason. I don't believe the problems we face are the real problem. I remain an optimist, not because the challenges are small, but because we have the tools to solve them. We have the knowledge, the technology, and the capacity. What we lack is the cultural climate, one that enables cooperation, compassion, and creativity. Right now, our culture feels like a bitter divorce. We are not using our energy to build anything together. We're using it to make the other side pay. But here's the truth. We are in an inescapable, inseparable relationship. And if we stay on this trajectory, we will all lose. That's why I keep returning to love, not as sentiment, but as strategy. Not as sweetness, but as structure. Love is powerful. It shows up in many forms from the first day of life to the last. If we can expand our understanding of it, we might just find our way back to each other. Love as will, discipline, and growth. My deeper understanding of love began with Scott Peck's The Road Less Traveled, which I read as a young man and never forgot. He defines love as the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. It reframed love, not as a feeling, but as a decision. Not something possessed, but practiced. Love in this view is an act of will, requiring effort, a stretch of the self, demanding discipline, and a spiritual endeavor, not just for comfort, but transformation. I've also learned a great deal about love through the lens of leadership, especially from a line often attributed to Søren Kierkegaard, the 19th century Danish philosopher, theologian, and writer, about the art of helping others grow. Quote, "If one is truly to succeed in leading a person to a specific place, one must first and foremost take care to find him where he is and begin there. All true helping begins with humbling. The helper must first humble himself under the person he wants to help. To help is not to dominate, but to serve. Not to be the most powerful, but the most patient." End of quote. The early philosophers helped shape my thinking as well. Plato spoke about the ladder of love, a progression from physical attraction to the love of truth itself. Aristotle described philia, a friendship rooted in shared virtue and integrity. Erich Fromm, in The Art of Loving, framed love not as a spontaneous emotion, but as a skill, a discipline we cultivate through deliberate effort. Love is an action, not flashy, not heroic, but deeply human, patient, grounded, willing to get it wrong, willing to stay even when it's hard, or perhaps particularly when it's hard. Love is humanity's first and last obsession. Modern culture may miss the mark, but love has always been our central obsession. It is the most talked about topic in human history, and maybe the most fought over. Love has inspired temples and started wars. Love runs beneath almost every creative pursuit: music, poetry, film, literature. Whether we're aching for it, celebrating it, or grieving its absence, love is the theme we never tire of exploring. The question artists never stop asking. At the end of the day, everybody wants more of it, and therein lies the tension. Love isn't something we get. It's something, if we're lucky, that we earn through giving. The poets and musicians know this. Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah sings of love as sacred, broken, and defiant. Joni Mitchell's A Case of You captures intimacy laced with distance. Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata aches with longing without saying a single word. Rilke urged us to stand guard over each other's solitude. And Tolstoy showed what happens when love turns possessive or disappears entirely. We may never fully understand love, but we can get better at practicing it. Love in a culture that forgot. People are hungry for deeper connection, for partners, friends, and communities who truly see and support them. Yet so much of modern life is structured around transactions. What do I get if I give? This logic seems to seep into our relationships. Many seek love that affirms or soothes, but fewer are willing to center someone else's flourishing without personal gain. That's the distortion where so much of modern love breaks down. And our cultural narratives don't help. In dating apps and prestige TV alike, love is often reduced to chemistry or convenience. Commitment is rare. Disillusionment is the norm. Even in our most beloved films and series, lasting love is rarely shown, and mature partnership even less so. Have we lost faith that people can grow together? I'm not sure whether culture shapes us or we shape culture. Probably both. But I wish we asked more of it. Asked culture to offer a fuller, more aspirational picture of what love can be. I miss movies like When Harry Met Sally that offer us hope and show that love is often developed through giving over time. When did stories like that go out of vogue? I was listening recently to a beloved Swedish radio program where public figures are given 2 hours to speak about anything they want. One man told a heartbreaking story about losing a child at birth. It was beautiful, honest, and devastating. And the story ended there. Darkness, finality. Curious, I looked him up afterward. He and his partner had tried again. They now have a child. And I couldn't help but wonder, why didn't he share that part? The part with hope, the part with life, the part where choosing love, even in devastation, created new life. It hit me. We're taught that pain is more powerful than healing, that hope isn't edgy enough, that if a story ends with love, it somehow feels less true. But I don't think that's the fullest truth. Love is true. It's real. It can rise from darkness. It can spark new beginnings. And it's available to all of us. It's just hard. It's messy, full of disagreement, disappointment, and identity shift. It takes work. And while we live in an age of radical self-optimization through therapy, coaching, wellness, biohacking, productivity, we are rarely taught to bring that same energy and responsibility to someone else's growth, or to be the shared growth that happens through difficulty. Love in that sense runs counter to the culture, because love doesn't optimize, it endures. Love is the answer. What the world needs now is love, not sentiment, but something alive, regenerative, exponential, and shared. The more we offer it, the more it grows. Love grows when we give it. Like breath, it can be hoarded. It must circulate. Love has nothing to do with what you're expecting to get, only with what you're expecting to give, which is everything. Katharine Hepburn. Where there's love, there's life. Mahatma Gandhi. Even in crisis, we instinctively reach for what matters most. Not blame, not revenge, love. Or as the opening monologue of Love Actually reminds us, quote, "Whenever I get gloomy with the state of the world, I think about the arrivals gate at Heathrow Airport. General opinion is starting to make out that what we live in a world that is filled of hatred and greed. But I don't see that. It seems to me that love is everywhere. Often it's not particularly dignified or newsworthy, but it's always there. Fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, husbands and wives, boyfriends and girlfriends, old friends. When the planes hit the Twin Towers, as far as I know, none of the phone calls from the people on board were messages of hate or revenge. They were all messages of love. If you look for it, I've got a sneaky feeling love actually is all around. End of quote. And that's the challenge before us now, to take that truth beyond the arrivals gate and into our civic life. What if we lean into that? What if we live the idea that love is a verb? I know this will require some moral courage from all of us, because it can be scary to approach people we disagree with. The risk of rejection is real. One of the best definitions of moral courage I've heard comes from Arthur Brooks, who recently wrote this, quote, he argues that moral courage is not standing up to the people you disagree with, but standing up to the people you agree with on behalf of those you don't. End of quote. That is practicing love in public life. The willingness to take heat from your own side because you believe in something greater than winning in the argument. It's activating the Kierkegaard sentiment in real life, helping with humility rather than dominance. Let's commit to show every person we meet a little more love, a smile, a kind word, a gesture that says we see them, we care, we are here with them. Love is contagious. The more we give, the more we experience. It only lives when practiced, and in that circulation, it multiplies. Each day we can pause and choose love. We can do the kind thing that others want more of, choosing warmth instead of guarding ourselves with coolness. And let's not forget ourselves. Offering love outward is only sustainable when we remember to offer it inward too. Where might you begin making different choices and offering a little bit of love today? Love continued. In the next article in this 3-part series, we'll explore fatherly love, an aspect I believe is both deeply misunderstood and sorely missing in our culture today. Erich Fromm in The Art of Loving distinguishes between 2 essential expressions of love: motherly love, fatherly love. One tells us we belong, the other calls us to become. Every healthy life and every healthy culture requires both. In the final article, we'll explore what I've observed and learned in terms of building and sustaining a thriving romantic partnership. And for now, I'll leave you with this from 2 very different philosophers. Love is the only sane and sensible answer to the question of human existence, from Erich Fromm. And perhaps a little lighter, from Woody Allen. Love is the answer, but while you're waiting for the answer, sex raises some pretty good questions. I love you. See you.